everyone, good day. This presentation that you will be watching is creatively made by yours truly, Reina Fede Levine, and
I'm Crisabel Dichoso.
in this video, we will tackle all about GAMABA. What is GAMABA? How to become one? What is the benefits of national artists? And of course, who are the current national artists? So if you want to learn more, just stay tuned.
Pleasant day to each and everyone. In this topic, we will now know and discuss the meaning of GAMABA. So, what is GAMABA? This is an award given to honorable Filipinos who are passionate about their native crops and promote Philippine indigeneity. So, this award was to recognize those folk and indigenous artists of the Philippines who has remained true to their traditions. So this is also to preserve their works. So GAMABA stands for Gawad sa Manlikha ng Bayan or known as the National Living Treasures. This was institutionalized in April 1992 through Republic Act Number 7355 or also known as Manlilikha ng Bayan. It was made by National Commission for Culture and the Arts or NCCA through Gawad sa Malikha ng Bayan Committee. Also, the significance of this Gamaba Award is that this helps artists by encouraging them to continue and share their knowledge, to instill pride to their native crops, and to help them promote it locally and internationally.
The second question an artist asks is how to be a Gamaba awardee. So here it is. The first qualification is, as it says, one should possess a mastery of tools and materials needed for the traditional folk art and to be a maker of works of extraordinary technical quality, meaning that he or she should know what, where, why, how, all of those questions because they should be the master of it. Okay, number two, have consistently produced works of superior quality over significant period, meaning they should have enough works to present to the board. Number three, have engaged in the traditional and folk art, which has been in existence and documented for at least 50 years, meaning that the craft or the work that that they're doing should be at least living for 50 years already. It might be from their grandparents, um grandfather, grandmother, or even their fathers. But the point is just that their craft should be existing for at least 50 years. Okay, the next one is command respect and inspire admiration of the country with his character and integrity. In here, it says that their crafts or their work should never be or should not be in any disgrace or disrespect to the country, but only to preserve and pursue the Philippine culture. Fifth qualification, one must have transferred or willing to transfer to the other member of the community the skills in the traditional and folk arts for which the community has become nationally known, meaning that he or she or they should have passed it to someone, anyone in the community that might and will continue their legacy. Now, in the last part, it says here, however, a candidate who, due to age or infirmity, has left him or her or them incapable of teaching further his or her or their craft may still be recognized provided that she or he or they must possess the qualification as enumerated above. Well, as it says, though even you're not able to pass down your knowledge to anyone in your community, you might still be able to become the national artist as long as you qualify to all those other first five qualifications. Now let's move on to the benefits and privileges for the individual awardee. Number one, of course, they will receive the GAMABA gold-plated medallion. Number two, they will receive the emolument and materials and physical benefits the highest officers of the land receive. Number three, a minimum cash award of 200,000 pesos. Number four, a minimum lifetime personal monthly stipend of 50,000 pesos. Number five, medical and hospitalization benefits not exceeding 700,000 per year. Number six, in case of death, a state funeral where all the expenses are covered by the government. Number seven, a place of honor in line with the protocol precedence in state functions, national commemoration ceremonies, and all the other cultural presentations.
The benefits and privilege for the group awardee. The rank and the title of Manlikha ng Bayan as proclaimed by the President of the Philippines in accordance with Executive Order Number 236 or Honors Code of the Philippines. The Gamaba plaque for the group, a one-time award of 200,000 pesos net of taxes. The group shall designate its leader who will represent and attend events and function on behalf of the group. The said representative will also have a place of honor, in line with protocol precedents in state functions, national commemoration ceremonies, and all other cultural representation. So, as you can see, there are 10 categories of Gamaba awards that divide the different form of the art that each awardee possesses. These are architecture, literature, cinema, music, historical literature, fashion design, dance, visual arts, and of course, the theater. As indicated in this presentation, this order of national artists is much known as the awardees themselves by category. It is the highest form of the national recognition. The order is jointly administered by the National Commission for Culture and the Arts, or NCCA, and the Culture Center of the Philippines, or CCP, and conferred by the President of the Philippines upon recommendation by both institutions.
Now, in this part of the presentation and forward, we will be discussing the different categorical awardees, two-person for each category except for fashion design, theater design, and historical literature. We will be talking about these people's contributions and the biggest gift to the Philippines and their works. The first category that we will show is architecture. Here, we have the two astonishing men in line, Pablo S. Antonio and Juan Nakpil, who both contributed so much into innovation and preservation of the Philippine architecture. First, Pablo S. Antonio was pronounced as a national artist in architecture by Ferdinand Marcos. He pioneered the modern Philippine architecture where he focused on simple, clean, meaningful designs but still tried to achieve a unique building without obvious remarks, and the use of natural lighting such as sun and the fresh air into his buildings as much as possible. He believed that function should come first before style and was celebrated for his Art Deco style, a radical departure from the prevailing style of the time, neoclassicism. Some of his works are Far Eastern University Manila, Ideal Theater in Avenida, Lyric Theater, Galaxy Theater, Life Theater, Scala Theater, White Cross, Ramon Rosas Publications Building, now Guzman College of Science and Technology, Captain Luis Gonzaga Building, Boulevard Alhambra Apartments in 1937, which is now called Bel Air, and the main lounge of the Manila Polo Club.
So next for the architecture category is Juan Nakpil. Juan Nakpil was an architect, teacher, civic leader, and the pioneer for innovation in the Philippine architecture. He focused on restoring and preserving the national heritage places of the country, such as the Quiapo Church and the House of Rizal in Calamba, Laguna. And it is said that his greatest contribution is his belief that there is such thing as Philippine architecture. So some of his works are the following: the Administration Building, the Library of UP Diliman, Jeronimo de los Reyes Building, the Magsaysay Building, Capitol Theater, the reconstructed Quiapo Church, Captain Pepe Building, Manila Jockey Club, Rufino Building, Philippine Village Hotel, the reconstructed Rizal House in Calamba, Laguna, and the Rizal Theater.
The second category in the list is literature, which we have Resil Mojares and Dick Joaquin. Resil Mojares is a teacher, scholar, essayist, fictionist, cultural and literary historian, and he is a very passionate what he does. He was acknowledged as the leading figure in the promotion of regional literature and history. He is also the founding director of the Cebuano Study Center in 1975 until 1996. He even managed to publish 17 books and 11 co authored books. Among his works are House of Memory, 1997, Origins and the Rise of the Filipino Novel, a generic study of the novel until 1940, 1983, Isabella's Archive, 2013, Waiting for Mariang Makiling, Essay in the Philippine Cultural History, 2003, Interrogations in Philippine Cultural History, 2007, The War Against Americans Resistance and Collaboration in Cebu, 1899 to 1906, 1999, and Brains of the Nation, Pedro Paterno, T.H. Padro de Tavera, Isabelo de las Reyes, and Production of Modern Knowledge, 2008.
So the next national artist in literature category is Nick Joaquin. Nick Joaquin was a novelist, poet, playwright, essayist, biographer, and was the member of the Philippine Board of Censors for Motion Pictures during Marcos' regime. He was considered the greatest writer for his generation because of his courage and boldness towards letting Filipinos know what happened to those who opposed the late President Marcos. So among of his works are the following: The Woman Who Had Two Navels in 1961, Weekly Women's Magazine in 1955, The Aquinos of Tarlac in 1983, A Portrait of a Filipino Artist in 1966, Prose and Poems in 1952, Tropical Gothic in 1972, and The Cave and Shadows in 1983.
Our third category is cinema. And here we have two promising artists in line, Fernando Poe Jr. and Kidlat Tahimik. Fernando Poe Jr., also known as the King, is the most promising action star in his generation. He was famous for his sideburns, gun shooting prowess, rapid fast punches, and jobs. He is an actor, director, writer, producer, and had able to make 200 plus movies through his lifetime. His award was controversial during his first time he was named as a national artist for a film because it was from his rival presidency candidate Gloria Arroyo. His wife Susan Rosas declined the offer and only accepted it when his husband was named again for the same award by Pinoy. Some of his famous works are Eseng ng Tondo, Isusumbong kita sa tatay ko, Ang Probinsyano, Kahit konting pangtingin, Ang Panday, and Partners.
So another known artist in the category of cinema is Kidlat Tahimik. Kidlat Tahimik's real name is Eric Veguilla. He is a director, writer, and an actor, the convener of LIBHRTY, or it stands as Limit Idiot Box Ours Thank You, a national awareness movement to guard against TV overdose. He is also the founder of ASEC Philippines in 1968, which convened a board of advisors chaired by Sixto Rojas. His first movie was Mababangong Bangungot, was praised by critics from around the world, and it is still considered as the pioneering post-colonial essay film. So, here are some works of Kidlat Tahimik. Mababangong Bangungot or Perfumed Nightmare, Orbit 50, Letters to My Three Sons, Turumba, Balikbayan Number 1, Memories of Overdevelopment Redux, Japanese Summers of a Filipino Fundoshi, Who Invented the Yo-Yo, Who Invented the Moon Buggy, and Why is Yellow the Middle of the Rainbow?
Fourth category is music. Here we have two famous composers, which names are Brian Gabyab and the late Levi Celerio. Ryan Cayabyab, or also known as Mr. C, is a composer, arranger, conductor, accompanist, and a musical director. His genres are religious music, symphonic work, art song, opera, and concerto. The perspective of his music is that he extols and exuberates the life of human happiness, thus capturing the very essence of our Filipino soul. He was the executive director of Philpop Music Fest Foundation Incorporated and the executive and artistic director for several years for the defunct San Miguel Foundation for the Performing Arts. Some of his works are Paraiso, Kay Ganda ng Ating Musika, Limandipang Tao, Chismis, Mamang Kutsero, Ang Coconut Nut, Candice Me Love, Paraisong, Parisukat, Araw-Gabi, Tunay na Ligaya, Nais Ko, Duyan Mo, Kahit Ika'y Pangarap Lamang, and Kumukuti-Kutitap.
So next is Levi Celerio. We all know that Levi Celerio was one of the famous national artists in music category. So Levi Celerio was a lyricist, songwriter, and a composer. His works proclaim nationalism, treasuring life, optimism, and his visualization about world. He is the first person to make music with just a lip, which was acknowledged about the Guinness Book of Records. In the Pep Talk website actually called him the genius composer, for he wrote 4,000 plus songs that are just totally great. But even after all his works, he never had a comfortable life because during his time, artists are not acknowledged yet and are not even paid well. So sadly, his last memory in earth is that he will pass down his hospital bills to his children. So some of his works are Sa Ugoy ng Duyan, Saan Ka Man Naroroon, Kahit Konting Pagtingin, Gaano Ko Ikaw Kamahal, Kapag Puso'y Sinugatan, Pasko na Naman, Ikaw, o Maliwanag na Buwan. Dahil sa isang bulaklak, bagong pagsilang, sapagkat kami tao lamang and Pasko ay sumapit.
The fifth category is historical literature, which we have the one and only man named as the national artist for historical literature. His name was Carlos Quirino. Carlos Quirino was a biographer and a historian. He was the nephew of the late President Elpidio Quirino, but that didn't make him famous. It was his works. He was named the National Artist for Historical Literature in 1997 by former President Fidel V. Ramos. He served as the director of National Library during 1961 and the founder, curator, and director of Ayala Archives, which is now called the Ayala Museum. Among his works are Chick Parsons, Quezon Man of Destiny 1935, Lives of the Philippine Presidents 1952, Magsaysay of the Philippines 1958, Maps and Views of Old Manila 1971, The Great Malaya and the History of Philippine Sugar Industry 1974, Filipinos at War, The Fight for Freedom from Mactan to EDSA 1981, Who is the Philippine History 1995, and his book Philippine Cartography and Among.
Ramon Valera never had the formal education in fashion designing become the standard of sewing to the current fashion design student until now. His designs were highly praised that people who wears his clothes feels honored. He does everything in making the dress, and wearing it is not by appointment but by invitation. Cutting, measuring, sewing, pasting, designing, and others. But even the most successful people get criticized. He defies the traditional Filipiniana that triggered other designers to object. But he still continues to do his thing that resulted to a breakthrough in fashion industry. Some of his works are famous works are shown in presentation. The first picture shows one of Valeria's design of wedding gown. The middle is one of his creative thinking on how a Filipiniana should be in fashion industry. Then the last picture presents his casual wears designs.
The next category is dance, in which we have two amazing women who contributed the most to our native dances. They are Francisca Reyes Aquino and Alice Reyes. Francisca Reyes Aquino was an outstanding woman who was named as the mother and pioneer of Filipino folk dance. This was because of her contribution to enrichment of folk dances. She traveled into different cities in the country to learn, master, and share the unique indigenous dances of each places. Her goal is to make the youth knowledgeable about the traditional dances we have. So she published books about her learnings and knowledge about her travels that has now become the basis for educational sources of learning folk dances. Among her books are Philippine Folk Dance Volume 1 to 4, Philippine Folk Dances and Games, Gymnastics for Girls, Philippine National Dances, Foreign Folk Dances, Fundamental Dance Steps and Music, Dances for All Occasion, and Playground Demonstration.
Another one in dance category is Alice Reyes. Alice Reyes is a dancer, choreographer, teacher, producer, and the artistic director of Ballet Philippines. She was named as the mother of Filipino modern dance and had made the cultural center of the Philippines her home for staging all of her performances. She was the one who established professional career in dance with her built institutions to mold and perfect the art of dancing. Some of her works are Amada, Mababae, Bungkos Suit, Carmen, Carmina Burana, Itim na Aso, Romeo and Juliet, Ramahari, Cinderella, and Tales of Manuvu.
Now we have the category 8, which is the theater design, where we also have only one awardee ever since. His name was Salvador F. Bernal. Salvador Bernal was the one to introduce theater design to the country. He was known for using available indigenous materials such as bamboo sticks, abaca, and rattan. He designed more than 300 productions for drama, musicals, opera, and even concerts, and later founded the CCP's World Class Production Center. Among his works are these two: the fish skeleton inspired stage used for the zarzuela Ang Bunganga ng Pating, and the set design for the musical Lapu Lapu.
So let's talk about Fernando Amorsolo first, the most famous painter in the country. He was a portraitist and painter of rural landscape, and it is said that his greatest contribution is his use of backlight. He draws most of his inspiration from the outdoors, sitting walls of old buildings and old cities as scenes with a lot of character. So some of his works are Lavanderas Bating, Rice Planting from the UCPB collection, Dalagang Bukid, Fruit Gatherer, Sunday Morning Going to Town, Defense of a Filipino Woman Honor, Maiden in Stream, Making of Philippine Flag, and Afternoon Meal of the Workers or Noonday Meal of the Rice Workers.
Next is Vicente Manansala. He was a Cubist painter, illustrator, and was the developer of transparent cubism. He was a member of the 13 Moderns and the Neo-Realist, which moved him to pursue the modernist movement in the country. Opposite to Amarsola, he worked in the figurative mode, with an exception of a few abstract words. He remade the cubism and adapted to the Philippine environment, which solved this problem during his time where artists weigh whether to use or not the Western cubism movement in their artworks because it might crash the native way. But he perfectly adapted cubism to Filipino art. Among his works are Madonna of the Slums 1950, Still Life 1957, Candle Vendors 1976, Ang Magbabayo 1979, Bird Seller 1976, Luksong Tinik 1973, Market Vendors 1949, Planting Rice 1967, and Man, Girl, and Cock 1953.
So first in theater category is Amelia La Peña Bonifacio. She is known as the Dame of Southeast Asian Children's Theater. She founded Teatrong Mulat, an official UP children's theater and puppetry troupe, which will celebrate its 43rd anniversary this 2020. And she is the president of UNIMA Pilipinas, or Union Internationally de la Marionette, rather, and the ASSITEJ Philippines, or Association of Theater for Children and Young People. She has written 44 plays, 136 short stories, and 26 books, which are also charismatic to all ages. Among her works are The Seditious Tagalog Playwrights, Early American Occupation in 1972, The First Brown Man and the First Brown Woman in 2008, Introduction to the Theater of Asia for the Filipino in 1979, Sepang Loka and Others in 1981, and Bundok at Iba Pang Dula in 1994, Saan Nagmulang Araw at ang Buwan in 1997, and the short life of Citizen One in 1971.
For the last awardee that we will tackle, his name is Antonio S. Tino. He was a playwright, dramatist, director, actor, critic, essayist, educator, poet, translator, asset, and costume designer. He belonged to the anti-romantic group of Tagalog poets known as the Bagay, a group who describe things and avoid giving interpretations. Some of his works are A Trick of the Mirrors of 1991, Dunong-Dunungan 1975, Sit-Sit sa Kuliglig 1972, Matter of Language Where English Fails 1990, May Katwiran ang Katwiran at Iba Pang Dula 2001, and Kristal na Universo 1989.
Thank you everyone and God bless.